right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hashtags and Habits podcast. I'm your host, Danny White, and today I'm happy to welcome Terry Zelen to the podcast. Terry has over 35 years of marketing expertise across diverse industries and is the president and creative director of Zelen Communications, based out of Tampa, Florida. He manages a team of strategic professionals to think different, ensuring the highest quality for their creative and marketing efforts for their clientele. For decades, his firm specializes in local and national real estate, medical, and restaurant marketing. His clients include numerous local, regional, and national clients, including Outback Steakhouse, Sykes Global Communication, and HCA Hospital. Terry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you much for having me, Danny.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about how you have gotten to this point in your business. How did you get started? And kind of what are the practical things that you guys do in your communications agency?
Right, be happy to do that. So I started in the advertising business back in the mid to late 80s. And back then, things were very, very different than they are now. But
Absolutely.
Came out of college and with a degree that was not going to be useful in this industry, but that's all right. Most people do. So I migrated into this. No one would hire me because I had no experience in the beginning. So I actually found a woman that I had interviewed with. She was very pleasant, and she allowed me to come in and work for free. So I was happy to do that just to get my foot in the door. And after working with her a few months, she saw that I had the ability to do the type of work needed for the industry. And so she found me an agency rep, and I got into a small shop and kind of took off from there. But my last agency was, they were the second largest in Tampa, and I worked predominantly on Continental Airlines. That was my client. And then I transferred over to new business. So I had the opportunity to work on a lot of different types of accounts and pitch business for the agency. So that was a lot of fun. It was a great experience. I left there and then kind of went out on my own, and I worked and freelanced as a designer for a lot of other agencies in the market. And just after that, I slowly started to acquire my own clientele. And that's really how I got my start. But the way that our agency functions at this point is we've always been early adapters. So we started out really one of the earliest adapters of developing websites where you had to slice a page in all kinds of pieces to get it up to upload on the modem.
Yep.
And now we do we do streaming video on the homepage and so forth. But we really have always specialized in doing things that are a little bit more difficult. So for our websites, we do develop websites in WordPress, but they're all custom. So everything that we do for our clients is done to their exacting needs, whether it's an e-commerce solution with multi-tiered pricing, or it's a simple, a single page website that's informational. We do everything custom for them, so that's truly branded for them. And then we got on early in the bandwagon with app development as well. And then when we saw AI coming just a few years back, we jumped in. It's probably been a little over 2 years now that we started testing and working with AI. So I would consider myself early adapter, but I speak with people who started 6 and 7 years ago. So I think, wow, we're way behind the curveball. But others have, really learned to use it for certain things. And as an agency, we find a number of different ways to utilize it for our clients and for ourselves. And I think what really is helpful is understanding what AI does for you as a business and how it can make your staff more efficient. We've never let anyone go, and we don't intend to based on AI. We just use it to make our team more efficient on the front end. So when you pay for somebody as an employee, they're hired to do a specific thing, and during their days, they have to do certain tasks that are either redundant or not really producing money for you as an agency owner. And similarly, so if we can get them to get through with those tasks earlier in their day, then they're able to do the more productive and difficult work that really helps produce better outcomes for our clientele, and then also makes the agency more efficient from a cost standpoint. Everybody's trying to trim numbers, so anything that you can do to find and help make that work more efficiently is great. So we use AI in a number of different ways, if that's helpful for the audience.
Yes.
I am a designer, so I use it a great deal for image generation, and I've used Dali, Midjourney, Pika, Runway, a number of different tools, and we are, as a team, very forward thinking, and we really are always looking for what's next, not just for ourselves, but really primarily for the client. What new channels are there to reach their target audience, or what new techniques are there to either gather better data about their target audience, or find more lookalike audience for them so that we can approach additional potential buyers or people who are looking for their products or services. And AI allows us to do that through its ability to crunch a lot of data much faster than humans. So we can gather data and analyze data on a volume that we couldn't do as a team before with any kind of efficiency in comparison to what AI can do. And similarly, we use it a lot for pitching. So we recently did a pitch to a local zoo. They have an agency already. We just thought it would be fun. So we had developed a concept idea. And then we went out and developed a series of images using Midjourney and Photoshop to create a campaign. And what would have normally taken us a long time, because going through stock photos, you can find sort of what you want, but you never can find a consistent look unless you stumble across a single photographer who happens to have done a series of animals, let's say. But using Midjourney, we were able to do a consistent set of imagery. Not just of animals, but also of people in situations that they would encounter themselves at a zoo. And we created a really bold campaign for them, and they really liked it. So it looks like we're going to get a meeting with them, and as an outcome. And that's something that it would have taken us a lot of effort and time. Like we would have had to hire a photographer or had one of our teammates go and try and find stock, which would have not happened because of the subject matter. So AI allowed us to do that in a very efficient way. And then we use it for, strategy and SEO. So SEO, we do use it for our base copy because we have a writer that's been with us for over 15 years. And she manages the AI to write content for SEO because she ensures that it's on brand and it's voice, but she can get the base content done quickly based on a specific keyword that we are working with. And then she can polish the content, and she's able to produce more copy in a shorter time. But the copy's also better because we're doing research on the keywords or keyword phrases using AI to get us better end results each month for their SEO.
So can I ask, when it comes to the content writing, the content piece, because I think a lot of small businesses that's where I see them struggling. Like when they begin to try to get organic traffic from Google and search engines and those types of things, it's like, okay, I have to compete with the larger mid-sized companies that are creating content on a daily basis. And I might be one person or it might be three people, and we don't have time to just create content every single day. What are the tools that you're using? And I guess the strategies more so of creating a bigger piece of content and then allowing that content to be replicated or repurposed for different channels.
There's a lot to unpack there, but let me see what I can do. So SEO is something we've been doing SEO since it started. And when it first came out, you could do black hat techniques like, white keywords on a white background and stack it in your favor. And then we used to use spin software where we take one article that was written and spin it into 10. And you'd push it out and you would get it on, e-zines and junk sites. And then Google has gotten smarter and smarter and smarter, I think, over the years. And so they're capable of telling when it's repetitive content. So you have to be very careful of that. Obviously, you never want to just take someone else's copy because of legal reasons. But I think what a lot of people don't understand about SEO is it's not just content. In fact, in the early days, it was content where if you were starting to answer a question that was being posted on the internet, a consumer was asking for a specific item. If you had the right content or you were able to match the question that they were using, your site would show up. However, now backlinks are extremely important, and that's a more difficult component of SEO. And we've been doing that in-house for years also. And that's that's the most difficult process in our side of the equation. And then there's technical SEO. So the site itself has to be properly optimized. And it's been a few years ago. I don't know if it was Penguin or Dragonfly or which update it was with Google, but you had to have your site had to be mobile compliant, which most sites today are, and speed. So it's one thing to be mobile compliant, and it's another one to have a fast site. So we use tools, a number of them, to analyze a site on a number of different levels. Is the content long enough on the site? And you can use something like Yoast, which is a natural plugin for WordPress. And it'll give you a green, yellow, or red, signification on your pages. But as content changes in length over time, Google said it was 300 words, then it was 500 words, now it's 1,000 words, then it's 2,000 words, then it's 500 again. So you're as an SEO, you are constantly guessing what Google's going to do next. So the best thing is don't bother and wait till the next update comes out and figure out how to comply. But I think that you can produce content in a meaningful way using AI. We've used a number of different tools. We started out using, I think it was Jarvis. And that was pretty good. And that was powered by OpenAI. And then we switched to OpenAI and ChatGPT. And then now we like Claude because Claude is more conversational in its style. So it allows a more human-like response. So we have to refine it less. We still have to do nearly as much work in that we want to make sure that we're researching and writing topics that are going to be shareable and evergreen. But we also want to be able to produce that in a consistent manner, because whether it's social media, pay-per-click, or SEO, consistency is really the key. So you want to post your social media at least 3 times a week. You want to have X number of new blog articles that go up on your website each month just to show Google that you aren't static. I'd say consistency is really a key to any of your online marketing strategies, is to make sure that you're posting with some sort of frequency so that people come to expect that you're going to send out new content, whether it's social or SEO or a newsletter. And I think that, to your point earlier of taking and repurposing your content, that's a key strategy. So we could take, let's say, 1,000-word article, break that down into 4 pieces. With some of the AI software now, you can generate a video from a snapshot, or you can take a long format video and break that into snippets using a number of different AI tools. And, that all helps you take one piece of content and generate multiple assets out of it for your clients. So you're able to get a lot more distance out of one piece of work.
Awesome. How do you keep brand voice and style consistent using AI tools?
I think what we've found is best for us is that our copywriter oversees the brand messaging, whether it's through the AI, whether she's written the website for the website copy, or if she's writing blog posts or social media posts. She knows what the brand message and the brand style is, so she keeps the voice consistent across all of the different platforms.
Cool. In a digital marketing strategy, like when it's omnichannel with multiple channels involved, email, social, maybe some ads, things like that, how do you go about integrating AI across that entire funnel of producing a campaign?
I think everybody needs to understand AI as a tool, and without human interaction, it does absolutely nothing. So I could be the best at, I could be a terrible illustrator or have zero skills whatsoever, and I could pick up Midjourney and think that I'm going to be an absolutely amazing I'm going to make beautiful pictures. And I am learning the hard way right now because I'm following a lot of really, really talented people that are AI animators, designers, fashion people. The prompting is really, really critical at the end of the day to get real high quality imagery. You can get junk, everybody can do it, but that's what's going to separate and always keep separated from the high quality from the mundane, if you will. But across all platforms it takes someone to orchestrate that, and it's person. So we use Loomly for our social media posting as part of our process because it allows us and our clients to interact very easily together. So
Okay.
that helps us post. We use different tools for doing our video content. So we have to we've generated workflows using AI, and there's no one tool that does everything.
That does everything. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there is multimodal now, and there's,
Mhm.
there's generative AI, but they're still not going to be great. And like,
Right.
I'm having an ongoing conversation with a woman who's in Italy. She's a designer. And I came across a beautiful series of imagery that she did was for Valentino. And I was just blown away by how beautiful they were, really timeless, great, intricate images. And so we've been talking back and forth about how she developed it and how she's gotten to where she is. And it's really, for her, it was learning prompting. That's what made the difference in the refinement of her art. And then I follow another illustrator, AI illustrator here. She's actually in Orlando area. She does amazing stuff. And these two women, their design styles couldn't be further apart if you tried.
Right.
One's almost goth, and the other one is like hyper elegant, Italian style. And they're friends on the internet, and they work back and forth with each other on prompts and how to refine the outcomes. So I think that really it's just a matter of the human interaction is the most important thing when it comes to AI. If you aren't talented, it might help you, but it's not going to make you talented.
Right.
It's going to
Yeah.
make you more efficient.
Mhm.
And you need to find the niche tools that are appropriate for what you're trying to achieve. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think sometimes there are two sides of the coin that I'm seeing. Like there's a group of people that's like, okay, AI is going to take away our jobs. We hate it. We don't want to be bothered. We don't want to learn it. And then there's a group of people that's kind of like, AI is going to do everything for me and I don't need people. And that means I'm going to make more money and I'm going to have better visibility and I'm going to do all the things. And I think there's a healthy medium between being talented and having that talent and baseline in your organization, but
Yeah.
using these tools as a form of efficiency and
Yes.
and using it to stand out in a very crowded landscape. A lot of industries are very crowded with just various companies that are kind of offering the same thing but don't know how to differentiate themselves and stand out. And
Yeah.
that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, how do you strategize the two of these things, the human talent and the tools and techniques to help the businesses that you help stand out among maybe larger competitors in their industries?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question. And that boils down to branding and strategy and conceptual ways to allow your client to stand out in the crowd.
Mhm.
You have to know what their competitors' weaknesses and strengths are, and then how to position your client to counter what their weaknesses are. These are your strengths, so that you stand out, whether it's your product or your service. And AI is not going to necessarily help you with that, but it may be able to help you generate more ideation faster. But I think that anybody who wants to take AI and get rid of all people probably shouldn't be using AI, because I'm sorry, but garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you may think it can do everything. And I see all of these people doing clickbait online with, oh, this is the next Chat GPT killer, or you don't need people, you just need these next 10 tools.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you in probably the next 3 months, those 10 tools will be outdated because 10 new ones came out that are better.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that humanity is something that can't be defined. And the engagement of people with machinery is something that's very new to all of us.
Mhm.
And how do we work together? Because it allows us as an agency to do creative things that we couldn't do before, because we either our clients didn't have the budget for something, or we wouldn't have known how to actually capture this particular image they were asking for. A great example is I was up last summer in North Carolina in a small town. Went into this. My wife has cooked at restaurants and she's been in the food industry, so we're foodies. And she found this really small.
I am too.
All right, so we stumbled into this place. The guy was the former chef for Jeff Bezos in this tiny town of, I think it's like 1,600 people up in
Oh,
North
wow.
Carolina. The food was astounding. So I got to talk to him briefly, and he'd lived in Hopetown in the Bahamas, and I've been there a number of times. And I had a T-shirt on, so he came over and talked to me because he and his wife came over and talked to me because I had a Hopetown shirt on. And I said, if you ever get interested in having a real website, let me know, because they had a landing page.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, he called me, and his vision for the site was, I started to design it, and then he came back and we collaborated on it. And we probably created one of the first websites that every image on it was generated using AI. And it started out with a fish. He wanted a red snapper on a black background because he goes to the coast and he gets red snapper from the fishermen. And so I looked through stock, and the team looked, and we couldn't find anything that wasn't on ice, or it looked dead and it wasn't going to be an appealing image.
Yeah.
So that's when I went, and I personally took this one on, and I went into Midjourney, and I was able to generate a red snapper. It doesn't just happen. I mean, you've got to prompt and prompt and prompt to get the lighting right, the position right, the angle right. And I sent it to him. I didn't tell him what it was. I just sent it to him. He's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was looking for. And then I told him it was AI, and he thought, there's no way. So then he said, well, I want a Wagyu cow too, on a black background. So it went from there, and then we ended up generating literally all of the images. And then he wanted a photograph of him and his wife we talked about the style, and he hired a photographer, and then they backed out. So I said, look, just take some pictures with your iPhone of you and your wife and send them to me. So this was before you could get consistent, or use a CREF for an individual. And I found this article or this YouTube where they had done this. It was called face swapping. So you generated an image of a person very similar in build and size and facial features. And at the end, you swap their faces out. So I was able to get them on, and he said, man, you made my wife, she's so happy. She looks amazing. Well, it's still her face in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we took it to the next level. We actually animated everything really subtly using Pika and Runway. And they were blown away. They said, this is exactly what we wanted. And then we made the website rotate in a really unique way. So we bring a lot of different facets and skill sets to a project, and it's not just generating a picture in AI. Right. It's understanding, developing the copy, developing the imagery, developing the style for the website and the way it functions. And you can't do that with AI. It takes people who have knowledge and experience in developing a website or a video or an illustration that understand how it should look, and use AI to help them generate things they couldn't before through iterations that they would have taken them weeks to do. They can do iterations inside of AI in a compressed time frame.
That is really cool. I think one of the things that you have mentioned multiple times is understanding the prompt engineering, which I think a lot of people do not take the time to just kind of like understand that a human has to talk to the machine to get the output that you might be expecting, or the output you've imagined in your head, right? Right. And doing that research and just kind of like taking time to test and retest and imagine and reimagine is a big part of understanding the artificial intelligence process. I wonder if you could walk us through like there are a ton of tools, a ton of technologies, but walk us through like the trends that you are seeing, or the technologies that you haven't used or you haven't come across that you would like to see created.
I think we're in a place now where we're shifting from just generalized LLMs to AI assistants, which then you can pull down and create customized, whether it's a workflow or train an LLM on your own information and data, so that you can create a much more customized workspace, if you will, using AI. And the woman I was speaking to that's a designer in Italy, she showed me a new tool that is actually just for fashion design. So rather than being a Midjourney or a DALL-E or another illustration tool, this has now pulled out and said, we're going to be specific just to the fashion industry. And I think that's what we're going to see going forward, is more niche tools. And I think that's really exciting because, you get into mid-journey and you're really looking to try and create that setting in the background, or you want a specific style of model to present your fashion. That's not easy because now you're working on not just the fashion look, but now you're trying to get the model right and the setting right. Well, these tools are going to, from what I can see and what I envision them doing, is starting to say, this is what these types of designers or illustrators want. Why don't we help the process by setting the stage for them and giving them a set number of presets to help them focus more on the fashion, let's say, than on the setting and the models. Let's make that an easier piece of the puzzle. And then they can really refine their art form and not have to worry about the other things.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think that's going to be an exciting thing that we're going to see happen. And then you're going to see a lot of different things spin out of there. But I like the idea of creating the ability for agencies and even freelancers to create workflows for themselves that create higher levels of efficiency and creativity, which in the end benefits their clients because they're able to supply an even higher quality product than they may have been able to before.
For sure, for sure. One of the things you mentioned is in your agency that you've been doing for a long time is the customization, and switching from gears a little bit from AI and just how you go through the process of understanding the needs of your customers and not putting them all in a box. I think today, over the last couple of years, there's this new trend where everyone is trying to move quickly and speed is the top thing. And they're kind of just putting everyone into a box and okay, everyone builds websites and everyone runs paid campaigns, and it's not taking into consideration the nuances of each particular customer. I want to know how do you go about growth and parallel that or align that to making sure that every single customer is taken care of, because that is a big part of just running a business and growing a business, taking care of your customers' needs. And I feel like that a lot of businesses have cropped up over the last couple of years that miss that part entirely.
Yeah, there's no two clients that are the same. There's no two, for us, I've been at this long enough that I can have a couple of meetings with a potential client and know whether it's going to work or not. Because if our internal, not processes, but our just, I'm searching for the word now, but it's, do we mesh as people, if you will? Because I can't make myself fit for somebody who's very right brain or very left brain. They think very differently than I do, because we're not going to mesh and get the best product, because collaboration for us is key to success. And we really prefer to be considered like an extension of their business and understand it deeply, because how do we market them if we don't understand not just them, but the competition? Yeah. So the way we start is through conversations that are they're investigational, like what makes you unique? How do you acquire your existing clientele? What do your competitors do that you don't do? There's a lot of questioning that needs to happen. And it's kind of it's like 20 questions, you're trying to reveal their weaknesses and their strengths. And more often than not, what people think are their problems
are not really their problems.
Yeah, but it's through that, those unveiling questions and the time that you spend with them up front that you really come to learn what the issues are and how you can help solve them. And some people, some companies we approach, they don't need us for what they think they need us for. They need us for something completely different. And we wouldn't have known that, because if we just went in and solved the problem that they had, we really weren't helping them, because they're still going to have the problem that was underlying, after we fixed the thing they think that was the problem. So I think discovery is critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. If you could go back 10 years and do anything different in your business, what would that be?
Leave? No, I'm sorry. No, I love what I do. I still do. And I mean, I get on, I have to say I'm more excited than I have been a number of years, just because AI is really exciting to me and what it can offer. There's a lot of dark sides to it, which there's dark sides in life no matter what happens. So you
Exactly.
just have to kind of put that aside, hope people take care of themselves and do the appropriate things with this technology, and move on your own way. But I think that we have always been kind of ahead of the curve. I know we wish we had done more app development early on, because those types of projects are longer format. An app's never really done. It has to get iterations and updates and so forth over time. So I wish we had developed more in that regard. And, we offshored very early on. We had a team in India for a while. We now have a team in Peru. And the reason I like the team in Peru is they're on the same time frame as we are.
Yep.
So I think that's been really beneficial to us. We have probably 5 people down there right now doing different types of skill sets. One gentleman reached out to me randomly on LinkedIn, and I looked at his portfolio and I said, wow, this guy's really good. And then he's led us to other individuals that are friends or acquaintances, and it's built another team for us that adds capabilities to our agency that we didn't have before. So I think I wish I'd probably examined that a little earlier on. There's tons of talent here in the US, but there's also talent in other places. I mean, our team's not necessarily less expensive down there. I would say they might be a little more eager to work. And what we're experiencing right now is some of the younger generation.
Yeah.
So I love that about them. My son is part of that generation, although he's got a great work ethic, as does my daughter. But I find a lot of kids want to come in and make a ton of money and really don't want to work that hard to get there. And I'm self-taught. I have a marine biology degree with a chemistry minor. And I had an art minor and taught myself the Mac computer because I knew that was the way forward. When when the Mac came out, there were 3 agencies in Tampa, and I managed to get into one of them. And I taught myself the Macintosh computer, and I ended up at a large agency because I knew it, and they trained their entire staff for a whole week on the computer.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, a week to learn the Adobe Creative Suite, right? That was when Adobe didn't have the Creative Suite. They had a series of apps. It wasn't as packaged and bundled as is now. And they couldn't set tabs because no one was taught to set tabs inside of they owned Quark Express at the time, I think. And it was Quark Express that they used at the time, and no one knew how to set tabs. And I thought, wow, this is really bad. But it got me a job in there. And so I got to become an art director there at the agency through that.
Very nice. Very nice. I do agree that I also have outsourced or offshore teams as well. And the work ethic is a little different than it is in the US for sure.
It is. But if I gave any one piece of guidance to somebody, is never stop learning, because the day you do, you become irrelevant. I am learning new things literally every day. And I have one person that kind of is my right hand, and she investigates new things, and she's like, please stop, because I throw new things at her almost daily and say, we should really look at this and see how it could impact this specific client, because we've been looking for a way to do this better. Let's see what it can do. And most of the things now, you get 7 or 30 days to test it. And they're written in such a way that you can figure out whether this is going to be helpful or not. So I say never stop learning and never stop figuring out new ways to present for your clients their product or service, but also to keep your agency up to speed and on top of what the changes are.
For sure. I love that advice. As we wrap up now, what is your hashtag in your habit, which is the name of this podcast? So what is your hashtag, the thing that interests you the most in your field? And what is your habit? Something that you credit as a daily or essential thing that you do for maintaining, like, it can be growth in your business, it can be personal development, personal sanity, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think it's probably hashtag AI creative is probably what I like the most. And as I said, I follow a lot of different types of AI creatives. which makes it much more interesting to see how their use cases and how they utilize the tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that the one thing that really keeps me going was that the question? I'm sorry.
Yes. Like, what is your habit? Something you credit
My
as like
habit?
a daily. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't read well. Not that I don't read well. I'm just one of those people that doesn't like to read. So I do the audiobooks
Mm-hmm.
and I do listen to podcasts but I like to look at imagery and understand how it's created and look at, campaigns or conceptual ideas to learn from them, because as a creative, it's easy to get burnout.
Yeah.
So you're always looking for new ways and new, let's say, content. Museums bore me to tears. So I like going to like a website like AWWWARDS, awards with 3W, because that's inspirational from a website design standpoint. The user interfaces, the navigation, the animation styles are really great. And the people are always coming up with new ways to present simple ideas. And I find that very refreshing. And I think you have to stay forever curious.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say to anybody who's fearful of AI is AI is not going anywhere. And I think it's a matter of adapt, flee, or die. So why not adapt early and stay in front of it so that you're way out ahead of the pack and you're not playing catch up, because it's
Absolutely.
very easy to get behind in AI.
Love it. Love it. So Terry, where can people find out more about you, what you do, and connect with you online or elsewhere?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I don't use Facebook, but I have Instagram presence. My team posts a lot for me, but I write a lot of it. And then I am on predominantly LinkedIn is where I do most of my content and posting, just because it's more relevant to my industry. It's B2B.
Absolutely.
But we have a website, which is zelencom.com, ZELENCOMM.com. And you can see one of our website. It took us 3 months to get the homepage down. And every one of the Z's that's on that, it goes through a rotation, is generated using AI. And
nice.
As the AI is getting more unique and better, I'm switching out the A's. That's kind of my pet toy, is creating new Z's almost weekly. So I pull old ones down and put new ones up. And we've written a script that goes out and pulls 7 Z's randomly from a folder. So every time you go and refresh, you get different Z's. And that's AI driven. But I think that's, the best way to reach out and find out more about me. I just became a Forbes. I'm on the Forbes Marketing Council now.
Nice. Very
cool. So I believe I'm getting my first article. It just got approved. So hopefully it will be out there, and it's about AI actually.
Awesome.
So I hope to write more and share more knowledge about that to people who find it intimidating and scary.
Very cool. I will definitely check out the Forbes marketing article. I'm part of the Forbes Business Council, so have a good number of pieces of content there. So content writing there has been very helpful, because it keeps me, like, their editors are really great. Like, you can only write so many words and it needs to be this format. It keeps me like in line.
It does. And I like that you get to answer those specific ones. You get 700 characters.
Exactly. Yes.
So
that's all we need.
Yeah, that's all we need. Right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Terry, for joining us. It's been a pleasure learning about you and learning about all of your insights around AI. I'm going to stay in touch, obviously, and we'll get your information after. And then hopefully everyone who's listening, you'll be able to reach out to Terry. Please follow him on LinkedIn and follow him on at the Forbes Business Council, Forbes Marketing Council, when his article comes out. I'm sure it's going to be really interesting.
I hope so. Thank you for your time, Danny. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.